What's up, y'all? Um, so this is gonna be another Truth Be Told vlog. Um, Checking in and broadcasting live from Columbus, Indiana. Um, why did I come here? I came here because I felt led to come here. That may sound extra spooky, or what people would call spiritual, but it's the truth. I felt led to come here because I came here to support the political party that I actually became affiliated with about 2 years now, going into 2 years now. Used to tell my story quite a bit about, and I still find myself doing that, telling my story quite a bit about how I switched from. I really didn't switch. I never was a registered Democrat. That's number one. I never was a registered Democrat and had never voted Democrat officially. Officially, I never voted Democrat, meaning that I never really went and actually signed up for registration, and on election day went to go and vote in the voters booth. Never did that. For 40 something years of my life, never did that. However, I lived in a heavily Democratic city where the majority of the people there voted Democrat. So I won't make this a video about trashing them, because that's kind of something that they would think that I would do anyway, or anyone would do that has an opposing view. Besides that, I figure myself to be a little bit better than that. I don't take the opportunity most times to try to trash individuals. I do defend myself. If I'm in a verbal altercation, or if I'm in some type of confrontation intellectually, I will defend myself against assassination of my character. I will do that, especially if I feel like the opposing side know nothing about me, or isn't savvy in the issues about myself, especially if it's a personal attack. If it's a personal attack, I feel like no one can really have the whole 100% view, a whole 100% big picture about you anyway, because people do change. Human beings have they do this on a regular basis. People change, especially as they get older, especially as they come into. You're supposed to. I won't say this in every case, but you're supposed to. When you find more data or more information that can help upgrade your intellectual capacities or your mental capacities or your educational value, you're supposed to change. Especially if that change is going to be a change that's going to be for the better. So you're supposed to change. Let's say I won't do the victim syndrome thing and say I was a victim of anything. What I will say is that I was ill-informed and misinformed, maybe a little bit miseducated. I will stop short at saying misled and deceived and manipulated. I will stop short on those words right there. I would use those, but once again, I'm not about trashing anybody in this video. What I am about is telling the truth about my experience in the most genuine and authentic way as I possibly can, without trying to insult anybody. I don't really believe in being politically correct, but I do believe in speaking with tact. Something my grandmother used to tell me. She said, "You don't have any tact, or to have tact. Tact means it's sort of like tactical. It's a method. It's a way. It's a system or procedure in the way that you actually deal with an issue or tackle a situation." What I'll say is this: is that I have been in many circumstances and many situations in my life where I didn't use as much tact as I should have, and because of that, I ended up in an altercation with someone, or the communication or the conversation went awry, or it didn't go in a productive or effective manner. So I've learned to use a little bit of tact, but that doesn't mean that I'm politically correct. Politically correct sometimes means not really saying what one wants to say and kind of avoiding or working oneself around the issue in fear of some type of social retaliation. right? Me being 42 years old and being there and seeing this, social retaliation is the least of my worries at this point because I've been socially attacked before. And as of recently, I've been socially attacked because of my political affiliation with the Republican Party. And me being an African American makes it 2 times as tough. Why would I say something like that? I'm just going to say what I actually spoke to. I had a conversation at a GOP rally in Indiana here, not too long ago. I think it was a couple days ago, maybe 2 days ago. Check my Instagram page for the pictures and the photos. I met Donald Trump Jr. That was an honor. I have a lot of respect for that man, and a lot of respect for his family, and a lot of respect for his father, the President of the United States, the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I have a lot of respect to him, a lot of respect for his family. And I did some research on him and saw that he is a man of his word. A man of his word. I'll just say it like that without going into detail. I'll let his own biography speak for itself on that. But what I will say is this. I learned a lot from those guys, and I told this lady there that when I was there about being an African American and being a Republican. African American. Being an African American, there's already challenges. I won't say that I'm oppressed. I won't say that I'm depressed. I won't say that that I want reparations or I believe that something is due me. I don't have an entitlement mentality. That's not my mentality. All right. I feel a little bit different about my situation. I believe that everyone's situation is different, and everyone's situation is based on their reaction to the situation. Right. Something can happen to you, and an action can happen to you, and it's up to you to react. And the way you react will determine whether you're successful or determine whether you're going to be unsuccessful. That wasn't always my philosophy in life. I made some mistakes, but again, as I said previously, as you come into more information and as you're provided more data about your environment, you're supposed to, especially if that data and that information is going to be helpful to you, you're supposed to upgrade your the way you solve a problem or the way you handle a situation. So I told the lady that I was there, the young lady. Actually, she was an elderly woman. I won't call her that. I'll call her a senior because that's what she is. Shout out to all the Republicans out there, especially the ones that was at the GOP rally in Greenfield Airport in the 6th District of Indiana. I was explaining to her, or at least I was attempting to explain to her the difficulties and the challenges of being a Black Republican, an African American Republican. And because on her side of things, of course, she's not African American, so she probably wouldn't understand when I get to, why I handle things the way I handle things as being an African American Republican. So, I already told her, it's already a challenge to be an African American in this country. I mean, there's no way of sidestepping the issue. It is a challenge to be an African American in this country. Our situations and circumstances have gotten better. I'm not going to sit here and be one of those complainers, feeling like I'm entitled to this and I'm entitled to that, and that I'm being oppressed. I love the flag. I love the USA proudly. I am a citizen. I am not an immigrant. However, my ancestors were immigrants, and I do not hate immigrants. I just want to make that clear. I don't hate immigrants, but I am a naturalized born citizen. Not naturalized, but I am a born citizen of this country. I love the Constitution. I'm a Second Amendment supporter. I'm a First Amendment supporter. I'm just a Bill of Rights supporter, period. I love that document because that document to me is one of the greatest documents that was ever written besides the Bible. And other spiritual or other historical writings of past history. To me, that document lays out what a human being, the choices and the opportunities that a human being has here on this earth, and it identifies who you are. It identifies you being as you being human, and as a human being, these are the opportunities, these are the choices, and these are the rights, the unalienable rights. I think that's how you say it. These are the rights that cannot be taken to you, that was granted to you by the Supreme Creator, right? And man just writes it down so you can understand it, right, in your language. The United States is one of the greatest experiments in human history to try to get a bunch of different people, immigrants from all over the world in all other different countries, of all walks of life, of all different cultures, religious traditions and cultures, and get them all in one place and get them to coexist with one another peacefully. That is a hard task to do, and world history proves that. It proves that point, that it's a hard thing to get human beings who are quite different from one another and from all type of ethnic backgrounds together, and without them clashing, without there being some type of physical violence, mainly over who's going to dominate who, which is, to me, that's sort of like backwards thinking. Outdated thinking, outdated thought process. We shouldn't be thinking about how to dominate one another. We should be thinking about how to coexist with one another. It's a difficult thing to do. Some ideas may dominate other ideas, especially if those ideas are archaic or negative. I would call negative anything that's not productive, anything that doesn't produce a productive result or outcome, right? If it brings a negative outcome that is not productive, and what I mean by productive is something that brings growth in whatever area that growth that comes in, then that, to me, I consider to be outdated, an outdated thought process, an outdated way of life, an outdated lifestyle that needs to kind of take a back seat to something more productive. But as I was trying to explain this to this young lady, I actually tried to explain it like this: that being African American in this country is already a challenge, because I think everybody pretty much knows our challenges here. It's been spoken about from decade to decade to decade, and I'm actually kind of tired of hearing it myself, that argument. I hear it from African Americans and people that aren't African Americans. But also, being a Republican is a hard thing. To be an African American and be a Republican is a hard thing for us, because the Democratic side, which is the side that I come from, and I don't know why they think this way, but they try to keep as many members as they possibly can. And to me, they don't discriminate on who they allow in the party. It's like open, and I don't think that there's some type of, I'm not going to say vetting process to be a Democrat, because you don't have to be vetted to be a Democrat unless you're going up the ranks, right? Unless you're going into leadership, then vetting. But there isn't a system of education. Like, when you want to become a Democrat, it should be like going to school, and you should be taught what a Democrat is about. You should be taught the precepts, the concept, the philosophy of being a Democrat. You should be taught the morals, the values, and the standards of being a Democrat. You should be taught the do's and the don'ts of being a Democrat, right? Before you actually start shouting that you're a Democrat or a liberal. I believe that you should know what those terms mean, and you should kind of have the time to sit back and analyze the whole system of being a Democrat to see if it's right for you, or if it actually can fit your own personal beliefs and lifestyle. For 40 years, I lived not as a liberal, but under liberals. And I used to wonder why I would clash with the people around me the way I would, And now that I'm older, and now I know the difference between a Democrat and a Republican, the philosophies, the concepts, and the culture of each party. Now I understand that I took a more conservative approach to my life, procedurally. What I mean by procedurally is that the way that I lived my life, the choices that I made, my life choices, and the decisions that I made were more conservative based. Case in point, I'm not a wasteful spender, which means that I don't, and this is a conservative, conserve means to save, the actual word, conserve. So the root word of conservative is conserve, to save, or yeah, I'll just say that, to preserve something, right? So me, I'm not a wasteful spender, meaning that I don't spend my money on things that are on something that's not going to benefit me. I'm not going to spend my money on something that I will later regret, right? I'm not going to make purchases that I would call them unproductive purchases. Something that's not going to bring some type of result. It'll be a liability. Now that's before I started reading any books on it or learning how to actually balance my checkbook or anything like that, or balance my my bank account. That's before that. I've always been the type of person that if I had 3 cents in my pocket and a piece of candy was 2 cents, I'm thinking to myself, should I really purchase this? Because I would only have 1 cent left. I really want that piece of candy, but candy rots the teeth. Candy's not going to last long. And candy's probably going to get me in trouble if my grandmother catches me with this candy and only 1 penny left. She's going to ask me what happened to the other 2. And I'm going to ask her, hey, I'm going to tell her I just bought some candy. And she's going to say, now, was that really a good investment? And I'm probably going to tell her, no, it probably wasn't being a good investment because candy doesn't last that long. Not at all. After 1 swallow, it's done. So, getting back to trying to explain this to this young lady, I was trying to let her know that I had a more conservative approach to my life, which caused a lot of conflict around individuals that I was around living in a predominantly democratic city, an environment where people were a little bit more liberal in their approaches. I would want to conserve and want to do things that was a little bit more what you would call traditional. I had more traditional values, and these individuals didn't really have those type of traditional values. They were a little bit more, they took liberties with the way that they lived. They lived a little bit more vicariously, which to me was a little reckless. I tried to live that type of lifestyle, and I found that type of lifestyle was more of a liability to me than an asset. And so me liking assets a little bit more than liabilities, I decided, you know what, maybe it's time for a change of a little bit of environment, especially after not reaching the goals that I wanted to reach and not accomplishing the accomplishments that I wanted to accomplish, and not being as successful as I thought that I was supposed to be. After taking so many losses, you start to understand that, you need to win. And now that you need to win, you need to find a system of thought that will help you win after you tried the old system so many times. My grandmother used to tell me that, quote unquote, you've tried it that way, why don't you try it another way? So therefore, based on that alone is why I made a switch from being, I wasn't really a Democrat, but I supported Democrats. And I supported them loosely because I wasn't even involved in a political system. Meaning that, hey man, I really didn't pay attention much. I wasn't watching the news like I should have. I didn't keep up with current events. I didn't keep up with foreign affairs. I didn't keep up with foreign relations. I didn't keep up with economy. I didn't keep up with who was running and why they were running and what platform they were running on. I didn't keep up with I did keep up with the president, but I didn't keep up with his administration, his legislation, his policies, the things he was trying to pass, Congress, none of that other stuff. All I did was basically take the Constitution test when I was in 8th grade, and I aced it
after studying, but I really didn't understand what the hell I was studying at that time. It took me a little bit to get older and go through life a little bit and experience a little bit more to kind of understand why that document, the Constitution, is important, and that not knowing it would lead to a lot of mishaps in your life and a lot of mistakes in your life, would lead to you falling through the cracks due to the fact that you don't know what opportunities that you have out here for you that you could take advantage of. You will be unsuccessful because that Constitution kind of provides you a blueprint, a framework of how you can live and what you possibly can do. It's almost limitless. So in explaining this to her, she kind of understood, like, wow, I didn't really know it was like that. I told her, being a Republican, African American Republican, is a beautiful experience. It's something new for me, but there's challenges on both sides. Number one, it's challenges on the Republican Party side because I've never been a Republican before. So therefore, there are Republicans who are looking at me and saying, are you really a Republican? Are you sure that you want to do this? Are you aware of what you're getting yourself into? And then you have people on the Democratic side that don't want to see me leave because they're looking at the situation like, hey, you've been that for a long time. You should just go ahead and stay. And not only that, but we kind of need the numbers, because voting season is coming and we need all the votes that we could possibly get. But my thing is that if something is constantly breaking, that means that it's not being successful. Why constantly do something that's not successful? You only be kind of foolish by doing that. To continue, Albert Einstein, I believe, said this, and quote, insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result each time. Yeah, I'm not an insane person. So therefore, that makes a lot of sense to me. That after I've tried things over and over and it doesn't yield the results that I personally believe it should yield, it's just time to do something different. So when I told her that, like, hey, look, I'm getting it from both sides, these challenges from both sides, and it's kind of hard for me. It's difficult at times for me to kind of stay focused and stay positive about it. She understood. She said, wow, I didn't look at it from that point of view. I'm not African American. So therefore, I don't see that other side that you're talking about. I don't have those type of difficulties. I have a little